So let's start with you, Nicolle. Like, shall we? Let's go straight for the money question and talk about how do these guys get paid? Because I know this amazingly attractive human being in the back there. He loves to spread love to his followers, but he wants to get real money, G, right? And how is, we can dig into what you do for him, but tell us what you do for creators, please.
So here at X10, I wear a double-hatted role, right? We have talents that we manage ourselves, and X10 also is an agency whereby we are talent agnostic, right? Still very much an influencer marketing kind of space, very strategic in our proposition, but at the heart of it, it is really being able to look at creators effectively and helping bridge the gap with what clients require. You are right, it is the money question. We're not here to earn money, we help them earn money, and Meta also wants to earn money as well. It's a holy trinity, right?
Holy trinity, indeed, yes. I didn't know we were going to get religious, but yes, go ahead.
Trifecta, maybe trifecta, I'll use a less religious term. But essentially, that's the heart of business at the end of it. For creators, it is ultimately being able to help them find that balance between maintaining their creative voice and their expertise, but being able to also understand where clients' needs are. So we see our role very much as that middle mediator, the educator on both sides. Wanjun is nodding because I know she probably agrees a lot with this, but very often clients want something, creators want something, something's got to give somewhere. Where does that get to? When we can find that nice balance is where people will get paid.
Certainly, and let's talk about that. You talk about that being in between, but it's much more probably like cartilage than it is like a smooth bridge. You're probably crunched in between expectations and reality. And where does the rubber meet the road, so to speak? And
100%. So I mean, I work for a creative, right? He's not just a creator. He's an artist, he's a singer, he's an actor. So there's a lot of things that he wants to do in his mind of how he wants certain things done. But then at the same time, when you've got a client going, oh no, but you have to push this agenda, you have to push that. Where's actually the middle ground? I think for me, when I'm managing, the artist, and when I used to manage a creator as well, I always try and make sure that it's a win-win. So we never lie. If the clients are telling me that the food is yummy and it's not, I will be like, I'm so sorry, we can't talk about how good your food is, but we can tell people how beautiful your food looks and come across a different way, right? Because I think at the end of the day, like what Nicolle mentioned, it's always about the dollar. So if the client doesn't want to pay you and the client's not happy, there's nothing that you can do about it. So even if the creative wants to stay as creative as they want, they can't actually do that because if the dollar doesn't come in, they can't eat. So I think for me, it's really about learning how to firstly understand who your creative is and your artist is, because I think understanding that when you speak to the client straight away, the client would already know, I'm sorry, he's not going to want to do that, we're not going to do this, but we can do this, and if you're not happy, then don't shake hands. I think that's really important to know, but then if you know that there are certain things, there will always be a middle ground, is what I say when it comes to money. So we can never be too stubborn as a creative, but we can also not be too stubborn as a brand.
Terrific. And the other piece of the puzzle, people trying to maybe do something independently, they have a little thimble and getting a drop of water, but there's this 5-grade rushing torrent of a river, and that's Facebook with billions of users, and everybody is there. When your title, a partner solution lead, what is it? Yeah, please.
Partner solutions, it's kind of a whole bunch of words that don't mean anything. But what I do, not working. This one working now. There we go. Yes, so I work in the global partnerships team at Meta, and so we manage Meta's relationships with our top and emerging accounts. So that is often creators or public figures, music artists, sporting leagues, media, all those types of people. And what we do with them is really around helping them drive success and drive their goals on our platforms. But also on our side, it's about how do we drive product adoption or production on our platforms, because we know those people, those influential people, are really important because they have a whole bunch of followers and they have a whole bunch of influence, and they drive a whole bunch of mimicry. So if you see someone that you really like using a certain tool like Threads, then you might be influenced to use it too. So they're really important for us in the way that we kind of work.
Yeah, fascinating. I think a decade ago, or not even that long ago, if you're lead of partner solutions, it would obviously be some sort of sports league or celebrity or somebody who's already an existing person that could influence other people. But now it's, it is a broader term because now you've created these Frankenstein, so to speak, right? You've created these incredible, influencers through your platform. And now it's interesting to see that they're in the same grouping as
Totally.
a giant sports
Yes.
team, because in some ways they, for my sons, like those people that you've created are actually more influential to them in some ways than maybe some of the things that I grew up with.
Totally, yeah. I think social media has democratized the internet. I think previously there was maybe magazine publishers or like editors or people that worked at TV broadcasters, and the power would be controlled by a few. Where social media has really put that power in everyone's hands. So if you have a story to tell, if you're creative, if you can engage with an audience, then you can build a following on your own and you can monetize that following. And I think that's the really exciting thing about social media is anyone can be famous, anyone can have a voice. If you've got something to share, then there's a place for you.
But I just wanted
Please.
to add as well, right? Because I think, it's very easy for creators that comes out from all the meta related platforms and think that, they got famous and it's very easy for them to use. I also come from traditional, it's all right. I came from traditional...
I stole your microphone, you get back,
did.
sorry.
I came from a traditional media background as well. And, then it's also about learning and teaching this celebrity-like figure to then understand that social media is actually so important for their growth as well, which I think sometimes, when you are a musician or when you're really creative, you don't see the need in that because you're my craft is going to sell me. Well, it will, but it will only lead you to a certain extent. So I think just understanding that within the space is so important.
I mean, to add on to that also, really interesting that you've mentioned that because we kind of spoke about, in every single part of this partnership, each partner has its own, needs, right? And I think it's important to recognize that in power partnerships, the creator has its own interest, the platform has its interests, agencies have interests, clients have their interests, right? And where there was once a study that I kind of read quite recently, and it talked about the interest of the clients versus the interest of the creator, and the creator is always going to want to hone its craft, right? They want to make sure that they're authentic, that the content that they put out essentially is true to themselves, is creative and speaks, in the manner that they are comfortable with. But to the client these days, what we're realizing is that clients actually need performance. They need numbers, right? Great. I think that we've gone past a time whereby clients go, well, I don't know what creative I want. They know what creative they want. They want numbers. They want sales to come in. They want awareness to be had. They want conversion. And that's where I think our role essentially is to make sure that we can bridge that gap, right? How do we then get creators to still maintain that level of creativity and authenticity, and then perhaps partnering with Meta and platforms to understand distribution cycles? How do we take that content, distribute it further so that then creators get paid for what they create, and we make sure that the content performs?
That's great. I appreciate those different perspectives. I saw this documentary. Well, it was a cartoon with my kids about Da Vinci, and Da Vinci wanted to sculpt and paint and create inventions, but the benefactors wanted him to make war machines, and he had to. I think probably the person that made cave painting, someone's like, Grok, want you make cave painting, kill bison, right? And it's like, oh man, I just want to express myself, right? So I think it's an age-old dilemma. Let's take each of those in turn. Let's talk about I want to give some, if Grok wants someone make cave painting, kill bison, get meat, give meat to the audience. Let's forage, or if somebody are vegan, let's forage some beautiful berries. Let's give them something. Let's talk about it from a client perspective, some sort of best-in-class anecdote and something actionable, how a client can best manage a agency and a influencer and a platform to get what they want. What have you seen?
My first recommendation to most clients is to look at influencer and creator partnerships not as a singular, standalone, isolated marketing execution method, right? It is to look at its entire marketing life cycle and then start considering the role of the influencer for them. I think it plays very different roles. Some influencers are being used as content generators to create content. Some influencers are really being used to drive a community and create a community. Some influencers are used as more lower funnel and driving conversions.
No, I'm sorry. Say that last one again. More what? I didn't catch the
Community.
Yeah, after
Driving
community. Then you
conversions,
said, yeah.
lower funnel conversions,
Okay.
reviews, feedback, UGC content. So I think recognizing the role of what you want your influencer strategy to be should be the first and foremost, right? When we can help as an agency distill that, we can then decide how creators can be partnered with us and how it kind of fills that gap.
Terrific. Can you give an example of maybe something that you guys have done together where you felt like there was good alignment and good sort of results and traction?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the way I would say it is this, right? With clients, it's very important to, again, make sure you find also the right creators, not just because you want to hit their profile and then you make them do things that they might not actually represent the brand really well. So take, for example, the artist that I kind of manage now, he's really fashionable. He's very much in the fashion scene. But at the same time, there's so many luxury brands in the market. Then which one do we want to work with and which one do we not? I think when you're first starting out as a creator, it's very easy to just take in anyone because you do need the flow. But then now that we've hit a certain stage, we're very much like looking at the brands and going, do we actually identify with the brand as well? And if we do, then sometimes it's really good to go into an exclusive project with a particular brand, and brand needs to understand that if I'm putting my artist exclusively to you, we are missing out a bunch of potential income with the other brands that could use us. So then it's also then understanding that factor and go, okay, cool. So if I want this person to be exclusive to me, I need to have the budget for it because we're not going to work with anyone else and we need to eat. So I think that's really important, So it's very much really even from both sides, right? As a creator and also as a client, to really look at your value system, like what your brand stands for, and see if it's something that you can actually do on a deeper level. I think that's what a lot of brands are looking for now. Like everyone's coming up to me and go, okay, we would love to work with him on a deeper level. And I'm like, cool. So then what can you offer to me, right?
You get up to deeper pocket.
Yeah, 100%.
And deeper ideas.
Yeah,
Yes.
but then aside as well, obviously what the brand stands for is also really important.
Of course. And so let's pull on that thread and go to threads. See what I did there? So how have you been, I think threads is something that's pretty, fascinating in the traction and, what's happening there.
Yeah, the fastest growing app in the world, I think it is to date. Yeah, so, Threads is obviously our latest app, all about text-based communication, but also about building community. But I think it loops back on this discussion around how you can partner with the platforms. And I think one of the biggest ways you can do that is by understanding what the platform's priority products are. What are they really pushing? What are they prioritizing? When you understand what is the priority for the platform, you can have an opportunity of being an early adopter there, because I think if you're in that space first, often you can be the person that builds community first or get to understand that tool first or whatever it might be. And then often what happens is once the audience comes over, once the community comes over, that's when the brands start coming and say, oh, how can we monetize this service? And so I think Threads is a great example of that, where it was just launched, is seeing great product market fit, particularly in a few markets in Asia Pacific. And so now we've got a bunch of really vibrant creators and creator communities that are connecting on Threads and building community and sharing their interests. But I think what we're seeing now, particularly in Taiwan, brands are coming in and saying, well, how can we monetize this? How can we do branded content deals with creators on Threads? And so I think that's really important to understand is how can you stay up to date with what the priority products are from a platform perspective and really kind of getting in there first.
Yeah, let's stick a little bit more with Facebook, and I'm really fascinated about how Facebook's really taken on Gen AI and kind of like operationalized and that, and how you see. I mean, there's so many different ways that it's going to affect everything from Oculus to all different aspects of your business. But how do you see it? Like, how is Gen AI maybe a threat, or how is it a complement, or how is it a boost to the whole creator economy?
Yeah, I think Gen AI in general shouldn't be seen as the end game. It's really just additive. It's about making things easier. And I think in many ways helping remove some of the repetitive tasks that we might be doing day to day and streamlining that. So We are using Gen AI in a lot of our tools and functions, so it's now built into Facebook, WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram. So if you go into the DMs, you can chat and add Meta AI into your DMs. You can ask it to weigh in if you're having a question, having a fight with a friend on a DM about where to go for dinner. It can provide you recommendations. It can create images in that chat. So there's lots of usability for it there. More broadly, we're also testing new ways of really utilizing Gen AI. So we've been testing something called Creator Agents, which is this idea that you can create your own AI version of yourself, particularly if you're a creator, and use that Creator Agent to then do some of the tasks for you to manage your social media account. So whether it is responding back to comments from your fans and followers, whether it is helping you to optimize your content, but looking at ways that really can, again, add to what you're doing rather than it being the end game. So lots of exciting ways that Gen AI is being built into our products at Meta, and I think there's more to come. I think the Ray-Ban Meta glasses as well, that's about to come out with Gen AI in there as well. So you can ask, hey, Meta, what am I looking at? And all the AI will tell you what you're looking at or give you advice on things that are happening in the real world. So yeah, very exciting.
Love it. Fascinating. Hey, let's wrap up. We only have a couple of minutes left. Why don't we go from this direction? Like, what are some of the key things that people in the audience should know, some takeaways, or maybe something that you see where they should keep an eye on in the future?
I think the speed at which the influencer marketing or creator scene is moving is actually really fast. It's a combination of, platform changes, it's a combination of community changes, adoption of social best practices, user behavior habits. I think it can become very costly if you didn't partner anyone, right? You could definitely go about it on your own, but the effort of that trial and error might not be fast enough. The effort of that trial and error might not give you a broad enough exposure to realize and know, this is a way that maybe I shouldn't be doing because it might fail or it might not yield as much in terms of efforts. So I think to be able to take upon a lens whereby the effort of the creator economy should not only be singular, but rather realize that, you can tap on platforms to understand where the trends are going, what platform actually is optimized towards, and being able to find different types of content formats, types of communities that exist online, what works best. And then after that, also then asking the creators themselves for their input. It is a collaborative process, I would say,
Great.
And that would be the fastest way to learn.
Excellent. Yeah, it's great to learn from your own experience. Much better to learn from other people's experience. You, Wanjun?
Cool. I mean, I think she said it all right, but then at the same time, I think it's also about understanding what we can do actually deeper as well, and also for the community. I think we've talked a lot about, the partnerships from a very business perspective, but then at the same time, if we don't have the community that supports us, we can't actually build anything. So I think that's really important to understand moving forward, making sure that your artists have a great community. As a creator, you have a great community, and then looking for brands that would speak to the community rather than knocking on every door.
I just add to what Nicolle said about the change is rapid and it's happening quite quickly and accelerating. And I know people always complain that Meta makes changes, maybe to the way that the algorithm works or other changes that we might make, and they feel like there's not enough transparency. And I think at Meta, we're very aware of trying to improve the transparency and the changes that we make. We're not the best at it yet, but I would like to say there's actually a lot of forums that you can stay up to date with what is happening at Meta across all of our products. So following at creators, following at Instagram, there is Meta for Creators website. There's something called Creator Lab, which is a whole e-learning portal. But there's so many resources out there that are from Meta, which will share the latest updates with you all. And I think it's really important to stay up to date with those. Even this last week, Adam Mazzeri, the head of Instagram, came out and said we're changing our ranking and distribution in Instagram to try and give more distribution to those smaller creators rather than the larger creators. So that's quite a big change, but it's not often widely known. So I'd say get all the information, but go to those resources is a good place to start.
Thank you very much. Nicolle from X10 Media, Wanjun from GYGroup, and Zaac from Meta. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your attention.